Baldur's Gate 3, a game that once released on the PC, later ported onto consoles, was universally acclaimed, not just for its combat, production value, and overall world building, but it was also acclaimed for its storytelling. Most of the time, storytelling has dialogue involved with it, and it actually turns out to be really good, with the competent writers that Larian Studios has hired. The problem with this though is that if you are Darkside Phil and you get to a certain section of the game, you would find it cringy, like he always tends to do with anything involving romance. Now, he kept bringing up the fact that it was just cringy, immature, and that a teenager wrote it, then proceeded to say that he gets laid by his own wife. Now, if this was a scene in LA Noire, you're definitely pressing X to fucking doubt.
For Baldur's Gate 3, I have actually really enjoyed the last few streams. Basically, ever since we left Moonrise Tower, I've had a lot more fun because it's cool to explore this open world, run into a bunch of random encounters, combat, NPCs, little mini dungeons, and things like that.
Yeah, I can automatically tell that Phil's just lying about him enjoying Baldur's Gate 3, just due to the fact that he's only liking it because he has his chat to hold his hand and give him money. But he's just going to sit there and just not even bring that up at all, but just feign surprise and feign interest in this game, even though he trash talked it way before he started playing it.
There's some things I think are not done so well, and as you know, I've been vocal in my criticism of those things over the course of the playthrough. And the thing is, I have the right to do that. I have the right to criticize any game, and I will. I'm not going to pull punches. I'm not going to hold back when it comes to things that I feel about any particular game that I play.
No, Phil, when every single time that you make a criticism towards a game, they're never justified. Because you're just sitting there constantly coming up with more problems, but no solutions. When people criticize a game or just anything in general, they have some valid points to bring up. Just like say, it could improve here, it should have been improved there. I felt like the story was a little bit shallow, should have been done better, gameplay could have been done better, and they actually would provide ideas of how it could be better. Problem with you though, Phil, is that you don't. A good example of this is Tears of the Kingdom. Every single time that you would complain about this game, you kept saying that it was bloated, it was padded out way too long, yet you provided no fucking solutions. It's going to be the same thing with Baldur's Gate 3. How you're going to say that this game's really good, but you're not going to say why it's good. But then when it comes to you hating something in that game, you'd provide no solutions. Again, you just want to bitch for the sake of bitching.
But in regards to Baldur's Gate 3, I am well aware that there is an audience of this game that absolutely love it and think it's like the best game ever made. All right?
Well, then again though, Phil, it came out last year and it was considered to be one of the best games ever made of the modern era. Granted, is it the best game ever made to everybody? No, of course not. People have their own preferences with it though. But again, you want to go with the stigma of a lot of people say...
I beg to differ. I like the game. I'm not in love with it. I think that it has many shortcomings or things that could have been improved.
Like what, Phil? What could have been improved with the game? An option that you could actually just press a button and people just toss money at you? Because that's the only reason why you like this game. That and Dents are playing the game for you. Why do you think there's a joke going around saying Dents play Baldur's Gate 3?
I think a lot of the the situational dialogue is incredibly cringeworthy and written essentially for like immature people.
How is it written for immature people? I mean, for God's sakes, the people that they got to write Baldur's Gate 3 did a really good job with it. But the problem is that you don't know what good storytelling or good writing is. Instead, you just think that, oh, hey, they just did a scat joke. Act, that's funny. But then again, you just take anything that's serious, you think it's a joke, and something that's considered as a joke to be taken seriously. Like, I don't understand your whole takes when it comes to storytelling or just writing in general.
And the way that various things are presented in the game is poor. You know, not really having a proper tutorial for 90% of the gameplay mechanics. So you need to either research or have someone tell you how to play the game.
No, Phil, the game actually did tell you certain aspects of the game, and they actually gave you tutorials and little hints saying, hey, you need to do this. But no, you didn't even bother reading it. It was too hard for you to comprehend, so you had to look left at your chat, hoping that they give you the fucking answer.
Meh. You know, a lot of these ridiculous relationships that spring up out of nowhere, even though you've done absolutely nothing close or romantic with any of the cast, all of a sudden they want to jump your bones and sleep with you.
Phil, if you actually got with these characters and you actually just did a lot more things with them, their bond gets better with you. It's like grows stronger. Just like in a real relationship, though, if you were with somebody for a long period of time and you felt a bond tingling, sparks, then yeah, you can have that notion that, hey, they want to fuck you. The problem is, though, Phil, is that you never had that with anybody. Instead, the people that you actually got with were your fans. You never really stepped outside of your little quote-unquote comfort zone and met somebody your age and met somebody that had any common interests with you or just any opposites, because opposites can attract. But again, though, Phil, you don't know what romance is at all.
That's pretty bad. It's pretty cringeworthy writing for, again, people who feel like they've never had a relationship before.
You really never had a relationship before. Instead, you got with your fans and you called it a relationship and you married one of them.
And I have the right to criticize this kind of stuff.
But yet, you have no idea what romance really is, though, Phil. Again, fangirls.
But there's people out there who disagree, and that's okay. I just wish that everyone out there understood that people can have different opinions of you, and that's okay. Like, if you like that stuff, I'm okay with it.
No, you're not. You just kept calling them nerds and that they're losers and that they don't know what sex is. They don't know what relationships or romance is. Instead, it's pot calling kettle black because you don't know what a relationship or romance really is.
As I've told you guys, I feel like this game, it's its own niche, right?
Even though, granted, the niche category, you could say the same thing with Street Fighter 6. Baldur's Gate, or essentially D&D, was a niche thing before it became mainstream. I mean, for God's sakes, Phil, do you even know what niche really means?
Kind of like FromSoft games. There's people out there who absolutely hate FromSoft games because they feel that they're too difficult, right? But if you take the time to study and learn how these FromSoft game works and how all their mechanics are, they're masterpieces.
This is very ironic coming from Phil because he hated FromSoft games in the very beginning, but yet calls himself a fan, in quotes, and yet he wants to say that FromSoft games are the best things ever made. Yet, every single time you see him playing a FromSoft game, he wants to mock the developer, mock the creator behind it, and just go on with his bullshit of excuses. But then again, though, Phil, not everybody's gonna like a FromSoft game. Every single genre, every single company, every single whatever is out there, it's not gonna meet their expectations. It's not gonna meet what they like, because everyone has different preferences with it, though. But no, he just wants to say that not everybody likes it, though, because it's too difficult. Even though he doesn't understand that it might not be their kind of game.
But they're not for everybody. And I kind of feel the same way about Baldur's Gate 3.
Phil, you shat on this game even before the console versions of it were coming out. Instead, you kept saying over and over that it has no contention of Game of the Year and that it has no place to be Game of the Year because it's PC-centric. And you were wanting Starfield to win. But as soon as it won Game of the Year, you had to go out everyone's throats by saying that I never said that, my detractors are wrong, and you decided to play it because someone gave it to you, and you wanted to make that ultimatum of pay me, hold my hand, or the game sucks.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate 3 overwhelmingly won Game of the Year.
Yeah, and you hated it.
We could sit here and argue about this till the cows come home.
Not merely much to argue with that, Phil. It won Game of the Year, and it got critical acclaim due to the fact that it had really good storytelling, good world building, good production value, the narrative, the combat, everything about that game is really good. Granted, it might not be everyone's taste. They might want something different. Not everybody can like the same game, Phil, but at least people can respect it for what it is. Something that you clearly can't do.
But, in my opinion, it's because basically the game has some of this immature stuff.
How is it immature, Phil? How is the whole writing in that, when it came to the romance scenes, immature? Like, for God fucking sakes, Phil. You went on to say that no one should, this is not how it's good written, it's not good writing, and all of a sudden, that's in her character, people called you out on it.
Like people, oh, wait a minute, almost a high level, very complex, very nerdy RPG, D&D, but oh my God, you could sleep with bears?
Why are you going into the bear talk, Phil? Like, why? Do you not understand that D&D is highly imaginative when it comes to their campaigns? You can have campaigns based around Fallout, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, even Pokemon if you wanted to. The sky's the limit of what you could do with that game. But for some fucking reason, you're just thinking about the bears. Like, are you trying to tell us something, Phil?
Yeah, and? To me,
Yeah, and it's highly imaginative. You can do whatever the fuck you want in a D&D game.
it's like, what does that matter?
Why does that matter, Phil? Why is this so fucking important then? Why did you bring it up in the first place?
My focus, honestly, my favorite part of this game is the incredible amount of narrative.
But yet you don't like games with a complex narrative. You don't like games that are too fucking long. We've seen you play any RPG. You're close to passing the fuck out.
And content in it. Like
Yeah, that's all given to you by your chat.
some people have said, this game kind of feels like almost the spiritual successor to Witcher 3.
Phil, it's successor, not successor. Open up a fucking dictionary or a thesaurus and look at how it's pronounced. Or hell, just look it up on Google and it'll tell you successor, not successor.
Successor.
Where everything you run into is kind of important and meaningful. Now, you can skip a lot of it and it won't really affect the overall course of the game, but if you take your time to do every little piece of stuff you discover, it actually feels very rich and like a very complex world. I completely agree.
So, world building. You're gonna say that The Witcher 3, or just The Witcher entirety, and the Baldur's Gate, it has world building, and that's what they did good on. I'm sorry. Final Fantasy 16 called, it had good world building, but every single time that you would play the game, you would bitch and complain about, oh, the NPC told me to do this. I don't give a fuck about the world building. Why is it that you're gonna praise one game for having good world building, but then shit on a game that has good world building and say it's pathetic?
I'm happy that in the way that I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3, that I've been taking my time to do all the content I run into, and I
And yet it is incredibly fucking boring.
haven't really skipped anything, right? I mean, that's why I'm 70 some hours in and we're still in Act 2.
Yeah, and most people that are 70 hours in are either A, beating the game already, or doing things in Act 3, or better yet, they're doing another run.
So, I love that about the game. But why is it that every time you hear someone talk about Baldur's Gate 3, you hear about who is your waifu or husbando in the game?
Well, the reason why, Phil, because it adds a lot more variety to the conversation of Baldur's Gate 3. And God's sakes, I can even tell you this. Asterion, Karlach, don't at me.
And how many bears did you bang?
Nobody asked about the bear question, Phil. Like, for God's sake, I know that it turns you on watching the bear fuck Asterion or any other character. We know this, Phil.
And you know what I'm saying? It's stupid.
Why is it stupid to have conversation about what's in the game?
Why is the discourse so dumb and immature when the game has so much more than that to offer?
Even though it adds conversation, Phil, like, for God's sakes, every single time I would go on Twitter, I would see fan art of characters from Baldur's Gate 3. Again, it adds a lot of conversation. It adds a lot more to the fandom. Do you not understand how fandoms work?
I don't know. Anyway, I still like the game, and I'm enjoying it. And like I said, we actually had some really good progress back on Wednesday where we did a bunch of optional questing that seems like it all could have been easily skippable.
And it should have been skippable, because every single time you would go through the game, it's entirely boring. And I'm just going to skip this book report, because it's just him going, and then I did this in Baldur's Gate 3, and then I did that, and all I'm just thinking is, sit the fuck down and shut the fuck up.
Thank you to those of you who are tuning into the playthrough and enjoying it still now, because, 70 hours in, a lot of people tend to get tuned out or bored. And I know that there's still a decent group of people following along. Totally not as many as when I started. Take a look.
Before he just goes on about the viewer count and the attendance and yada, yada, yada. The reason why people tuned out of it, Phil, because you play the game very boringly. We've seen how you play it. It's just you're doing this whole entire quest very slowly. And you get to the combat. It's boring when you play it. The only times people actually tune in is if you're getting upset that the fucking game is actually giving you challenge. Especially when it comes to its fights. Or it gave us that great little bit of cringe when you said that the whole thing with the romance was just immature. And it gave us a whole thing about how you get laid by your wife, which again, press X to doubt.
The videos from when I started each had thousands of views. Now I can barely pull 300 views after a few days.
Well, I wonder why that is, Phil. Could it be the fact that everyone finds it boring? Could it be the fact that you had a freak out telling people to eat shit out of your ass and you wanted their mailing address so you could send them a spoon? I mean, there's a lot of reasons why people aren't tuning into it, Phil.
On each video. But I think that's because a lot of people are essentially jumping in, and trying to follow along. And dude, 70 plus hours of any playthrough takes a long time to get through.
Yeah, it takes a long time to get through, but I guarantee you that most of the people that did this, as you're thinking that they did, they probably already beat the game and they're working on their second run.
I feel like the views will catch up eventually as the viewers catch up.
Keep dreaming, Phil. Keep dreaming that these people that took off to play the game themselves are going to come right back to watch you play it. Just keep deluding yourself, fucko.
I just find it's hilarious because now people, of course, in the chat are saying, so you're saying the only reason this game won Game of the Year is because it has sexual content. No.
But yeah, you're getting really prudish when it comes to the sexual content. It's just in any game, shape, or form. Like, we get it, Phil. You don't know what it's like to touch a woman even though you're married. And that if you see anything, doesn't matter if it's in real life or in fiction, you hate seeing romance. We got that.
But I'm going to make another comparison. And I challenge you on this one to disprove it. There's a game coming out in a month or two called Stellar Blade.
Oh no, he's gonna make a comparison to Stellar Yams? Really? Even though they're two completely different games? Where are you gonna go with this, Phil?
Okay? You know it. It's that action game where it's a lot of flashy combat and a lot of... Oh, wait, no one knows that. All you know is that the main character is this anime chick.
No, Phil. Whenever they showed it off, people actually saw it was going to be an action hack and slash game, and it looked really fucking good. And sure, you had the main character who is a hot Asian chick who, as you play, and people are liking the way it's designed. I mean, for God's sakes, Phil, can't a game have a sexy protagonist for once in its fucking existence? No, of course not. If you're Phil, you're going to just talk like a male feminist.
And if you actually have been listening recently in the last week or two, all the PR about the game is about the main character and how she looks.
Well, yeah, because apparently a lot of people were giving it criticism for the main character looks too hot. And they just came out and said, yeah, we made her that way. Fucking deal with it.
No exaggeration, even the game developers have come out and admitted, they said, yes, we based that character on a Korean model. And yes, we actually spent arduous hours modeling her ass cheeks so that she would look the most attractive. It's like, yes, because you're selling your game on the sexual content of the main character.
The reason why they said all that, it was just to prove that, hey, we actually modeled this person off of the actual model. They did a really good job as compared to, oh, I don't know, what game came out last year that a lot of people didn't like the model for it? Oh, right, Spider-Man 2 with Mary Jane. That was abysmal. But yet you're just going to say, oh yeah, they did it to the ass cheeks. Like, really? You're gonna focus on the yams? You're just jealous that your wife doesn't have those types of yams.
You're not selling your game on the game. If Stellar Blade had a main character that was a regular dude with two swords, no one would give two shits about this game.
No, people would still buy it, Phil. If it has really good combat and a really good story and nice visuals, yes, they would totally fucking buy it. But no, you're just making your whole delusions based around it had a hot chick in it, and that's why people are gonna buy the game.
It would probably have no height. It would just be another game amongst a million of these kind of games that no one really cares about.
What kind of games do people not care about, Phil? Why do you want to generalize it as a game that, in quotes, nobody cares about?
But whenever you make a Bayonetta, or you make a Stellar Blade, or you do that, all of a sudden, now everyone talks about it. Why? Because of the sexual content in the game.
What's the problem with it, though? Bayonetta is actually a really good character, and it was designed by a woman. And I know I'm bringing that point out, and that just came out of the left field. You had those feminists out there that wanted to ruin video games for everybody, and they talk about Bayonetta. Yet the one thing that they don't understand is that Bayonetta was designed by a woman. And yet, here we are now. Phil talking like a male feminist saying that, oh, people just like the sex appeal. They just like the sexual content, even though he has no idea the difference between sexual appeal and sexual content.
Period. So go ahead and try to tell me that the reason people didn't talk about Baldur's Gate 3 as much as they did was the sexual content. I dare you to lie.
Dare me to lie? What does that even mean, Phil? But here, I already disproved it. It got critical acclaim for its storytelling, its world building, its combat, production value, and many other things that you completely want to skim over because of the sexual content, as you like to say. But sure, Phil, Pretend that you got the upper hand on everybody by making up a comparison that makes zero fucking sense.
Because that's the truth. Yes, the game is outstanding. Yes, it has a lot of great content. Yes, it's complex and have D&D elements, and that's a unique thing. But the reason people talked about it was the sexual content. Deal with it.
I just think the whole thing with the sexual content was just because he couldn't think of anything to say to try to get the gotcha moment or the one-up moment of anyone that wants to discredit him. He just had to think of it out of the top of his head, even though it wasn't a really good thought. And that's why you see him moving all around, because you got to keep that brain moving. And now he's going to take a sip of his cherry limeade water. Yum, yum, crunch delusion.
Okay, continuing on. That's my opinion, not the truth. All right, and again, you have the right to disagree with me if that's what you feel.
But if you disagree with me and tell me that I'm wrong, I'm going to get banned.
But what was the discourse about this game and Stellar Blade now? Just look at the discourse. Wow, look at that amazing combo. Look at that really cool combat engine. Literally no one. Literally no one. It's just a bunch of people mouth drooling over the main character.
People are going to buy Stellar Blade, and if they want to buy it because of the nice yams that the main character has, so fucking be it. If they want to play it and buy it just because it's a good action game, let them do so. There's nothing wrong with it.
That's modern gaming at this point, I guess, right? And the thing is, it's not just games. This has happened in every entertainment industry. An entire movie where the only reason people saw the movie was because of the title actor or actress.
And how's it a problem that people see someone like, oh, I don't know, Keanu Reeves or Scarlett Johansson or the hot new actress that just broke through with another role? Where's the problem with that? Where's the issue with it? I don't see an issue with that. People want to see a movie because it looks appealing to them because of how they're making the premise. Or they just want to see it because of the actor, aka the main appeal. Do you not understand how marketing works?
This has happened countless times.
And when you're saying it over and over and over and over again, it doesn't make you sound intelligent.
But it's okay to acknowledge it and admit it instead of trying to pretend like the reason that you like something is something that's not there.
Like what, Phil? And the way that you're giving the smug look, you're just thinking that, yeah, I got you. I'm very smart when I come to this. Just bring up things that are completely imaginary to the audience just to try to fuck with them. Even though you're just sounding more stupid as you're trying to make your point with this.
Right? Well, instead of admitting that, yes, we all just kind of have a weakness for this thing, instead we're going to try to justify it and pretend like it's this or this or this or this or this. Well, here's the thing. Again, then what I want you to do is I want you to take that element out of it. I want you to take all the sexual content out of Baldur's Gate 3. I want you to take it all out of Stellar Blade and tell me that you would like the game as much.
Yes, I would. Baldur's Gate 3 is a really good fantasy game, and it's based around D&D. And they did the combat, they did the storytelling, they did everything in that game really well. Same thing with Stellar Blade. They did really good with it. It looks appealing to look at. The combat looks really good. And the boss designs, all the designs in the game really, look really good. Again, you're not trying to sell anything about taking away sexual content, in quotes, just to make the game better. It's really not helping your case at all.
Because you'd be lying to yourself.
Even though you lie to yourself and to your audience on an everyday fucking basis by saying that you love games, that you have a passion for it, that you enjoy having an interactive stream, when in reality, you hate doing this and you need to seek help.
It's true.
It's the truth. And if you don't like that, get banned.
I'm sorry. I'm enjoying the games on face value without that content because that's not what I'm looking for in video games.
No. Stop right there. You just like if the reviews are telling you that the game is good. Street Fighter 6. You looked at the IGN review. 9 out of 10. Oh, this game looks really good. You look at it at the face value of a review over what other people are saying about it. And if it doesn't match your appeal or if people don't like it, then you go by what they say and say, nope, I'm not going to play it because other people said so.
My opinion on that stuff is different than you, and that's fine. But I just find it absolutely hilarious that when I legitimately criticize something, like when I say, my God, the dialogue of Baldur's Gate 3 when it comes to the relationships and this kind of romance is so cringy. It's so not close to what any human would actually say. It's as if the writers don't even know what people talk like.
Even though the writers that they got for it, again, could be very debatable on who you ask. I don't think there's a problem with the writing with it, though. They did really well, especially the last Yell romance, because I never really got a chance to do that romance. but they did really well to describe her character. They showed it off. Reject her. Okay, whatever. Move on. But again, you don't like to look at the intricate details of this game. Instead, you want to go with the fact that it's cringe, it's immature, and that you fuck your wife when she hasn't touched you in years, I guess.
When it comes to romance, yeah, it's true. And that's a legit criticism of the game.
How so? People in the actual development of this game know what it feels like to have sex. Something you clearly don't.
I'm not saying the game's bad, but I have a right to say that. And then people get all uppity about it. Ooh, well, too fucking bad.
It's too fucking bad. It's my opinion. It's a very terrible one.
Too bad.
Yeah, we already know it's too bad, Phil. Move on.
Just because you don't like the fact that someone is exposing something doesn't mean it's not true.
What are you trying to expose here? Are you trying to say that the game's writing is bad because you don't know what romance is? If that's the case, well done. You just don't like romance and you're a fucking prude.
That's a hard fact of life. As you get older, you realize stuff like this, right? Anyway.
Oh, great. Now he's bringing up the fact that as you get older, you learn things about it. Even though you've learned nothing in this fucking world, Phil. You're 41 years old and you still don't know anything.
So anyway, Eternal Napalm says, you don't think the combat and bosses in Stellar Blade look cool? Again, I didn't say that.
But yet, you're criticizing the game based around the main character. And you're thinking and generalizing that people are going to get the game because of the stellar yams. In reality, the design of the game looks good.
What I'm saying is, who's talking about that? Literally no one.
Again, how do you know this, Phil? Did you look on Twitter, or excuse me, X, as you like to call it, because you want to get with the times, even though nobody really calls it X? You just want to say that everyone's talking about the ass, and that's it? Even though people are actually talking about how the game looks?
All you got to do is go look at the trends on social media and things. No one cares. The only people buying that game, okay, not the only people. A lot of people buying that game will be buying it solely on the fact of the main character's attractiveness. That's it.
And what's the problem with it? There's absolutely nothing wrong with sex appeal. Sex always sells, Phil. Again, marketing 101, sex always sells.
And it's time to admit this. As a society, this is where we're going. People fall for this shit.
Again, you're saying that people need to wake up and understand this and acknowledge it, even though this has already been fucking acknowledged way before you started telling people this shit.
It's a silly trap that people fall for all the time. I mean, hell, let's be honest, the Tomb Raider games, back in the day, they weren't great. Run around, auto-aim, shoot wildly at a bunch of enemies, and then terrible platforming that was incredibly frustrating. The games didn't get good until many iterations later. The first one actually is a really rough game that's very frustrating.
Phil, I'm gonna stop you right there. The first Tomb Raider was quote-unquote rough because it was the first fucking game. They're trying to figure out how it would work. And they did get better with the other games, Phil. Do you not understand that the first game is always going to be like the rough draft to a series?
I bought it, owned it, and was like, I don't see the hype.
No, you didn't buy this game. I'm just going to call it immediate fucking bullshit. You did not buy Tomb Raider at all. Instead, you're just bringing up the fact that, oh, people like this game because of Lara Croft.
But of course, Lara Croft, right?
See what I mean? It's just the whole thing about sex appeal, or excuse me, sexual content.
So there you have it.
Yeah, so there you had it. Lied about Tomb Raider. Glub, glub, glub. Lying juice.
Anyway, let's continue, shall we?
This was like the third time he said, let us continue. And yet he's going right back to the same conversation he already had just a few moments ago.
If you think this is insufferable, then you don't have to watch. I'm a 41-year-old dude, and I'm going to have different takes than the vast majority of people in the gaming industry.
Yeah, you're going to have really bad takes, and they're really going to be bad. To the point where people are going to laugh at you.
That's why people watch me. They're not watching me to hear the same thing you hear every shill say in every other stream or every other piece of content. So if you disagree, it's fine. You can just...
Okay, before he goes on about the whole thing about disagreements, keep the shill comment in mind. It's going to come back later.
Disagree, but don't sit here and criticize and say that my opinions are invalid, because they are.
Phil, did you not understand the words that just came out of your own mouth? You just called your own opinions invalid. I don't understand how you thought that this whole entire thing was trying to make you look intelligent, but yet you just confirmed everything that you're saying is invalid. Gotcha, bitch.
Everyone's opinion is valid, right?
But yet now you're saying that all opinions are valid. Yeah, you're right. Everyone else's is. It's just not yours. So there's one thing that I'm not going to touch, which is his day off segment, but I'll give a TLDR for those that want to know. Apparently, he went on to talk about his mundane task of the day off segment, which nobody cares about, but he briefly brought up the fact that he wanted to bring back DSP Tries It. For those that don't know what DSP Tries It is, well, the best way I can describe it, he buys something, tries it, and gives a quote-unquote review of it, even though his reviews were just terrible. But then he went on to talk about the Mr. Beast chocolate bar, because that was the idea that he had for it. Because of a theme about talking about the popular YouTubers doing things for a good amount of money or big profit, but yet wants to call everybody idiots for buying it, while he's saying that he wants to buy it. Kind of a weird way to call himself an idiot. But we're actually going to move on about the whole losing the money segment. So, deliver me, Father, for I have sinned. I'm about to watch a man that's going to be constantly begging for money and yet talking about how it's everyone else's fault but his own for why he has no money. Forgive me for my transgressions. Amen.
As you guys know, because I brought it up a bunch, these troll memberships, basically trolls coming on this channel using a VPN to get hundreds of memberships for a couple pennies, has really hurt my business.
Well, yeah, we already know that it already hurts your business, Phil. It's not like this is the first time you brought it up, aka 27.
No exaggeration, I'm down over $1,000 of income that I rightly should have earned.
Even though you don't understand how the currency conversion works, but yet you want to delude yourself into believing that you're rightfully owed $1,000 when in reality, you don't even deserve them.
In the last month and a half. This month, when I get paid by YouTube, I'm going to get paid way less than I usually do.
Oh, boo-hoo, cry me a fucking river there, Phil. Because there are a lot of people out there that are struggling to actually get a lot of money or just to find a job that can actually pay them well. And if they miss a few days of work due to the fact of them being sick without any paid time off, yeah, they have to struggle a little bit. This is just going back to the whole thing about how you were sick for a few days and yet you were in financial ruin. And now you're bringing up the fact that you're in financial ruin due to these quote-unquote fake memberships.
I'm hoping this doesn't remain a pattern and things pick up.
Oh, it's going to be a pattern, Phil. Just because you keep talking about it.
Both with memberships and with ad revenue. You know, ad revenue also just happened to be down in January, which always happens.
Even though you have no evidence to back this up or any evidence or analytics to prove this.
If you like my content, if you support my streams, tomorrow would be a great time to come out and try to support if you can.
You know what that means? Pull out your Velcro wallet. He's begging again.
Any way is appreciated. I'm not going to say, hey, don't support this way or that way. That would be ridiculous.
Even though you do that every single motherfucking stream.
But if you can support with tips tomorrow, that would legitimately just help me pay all my bills this month.
Your tri-monthly bills that you just pulled out of your ass, even though there's no such thing as a tri-monthly bill.
Because when I get paid by YouTube, it's going to be like, pay this one, pay this one, pay this one. Shit, can I even afford this one yet? Because there's way less income coming in this month for something I didn't do. I didn't change my content. In fact, my views and my watch time and engagement were up in January.
I thought you weren't Mr. Views. Why is it all of a sudden you're trying to say that your views were good, but yet you always said the same thing, which was, I don't understand why I get 300 views on a video. Where?
More people watched my content in January than they did in December.
Who cares?
Yet I lost like $1,500 of income because of fucking trolls.
I thought it was $1,000. Now you just up the price by saying it's $1,500. Which number is it, Phil? Is it 1,000 or 1,500? Or is it due to the fact that people keep calling you out for the 1,000, so you had to up the ante by adding $500 more to it? Is that it?
Okay. So, if you could support the stream tomorrow.
I love the fact that someone said big bills. 2 big bills, the electric bill, the internet bill.
Particularly with tips, that would help me a ton. All right, you really, really would. So thanks in advance to anyone who shows up and supports in any way, but tips would be amazing and would help out in the short term to get through this bump that I'm in right now.
Phil, you put yourself in that bump. No one else did.
Because of this bullshit with these trolls, okay?
Yeah, this bullshit with the trolls that you won't shut the fuck up about, and these fake memberships, which again, you don't shut the fuck up about.
Now, that's all I'm saying. I'm not going to be harping on it all day. No, it's not going to be a giant special fundraiser event with a giant bar filling up with tips and shit over the course of the day. We're not doing that.
Well, Phil, one, you don't even know how to put the bar on there that automatically fills up as much money as you get from it. You're just not that great when it comes to OBS or just any form of streaming knowledge for that matter. And number two, you just do this on an everyday fucking basis. You kept saying, oh, the trolls are ruining me. The trolls are giving me fake memberships. Oh, man, the sky is falling. Please give me money. Give me money. Give me money. Give me money. Oh, my God, shoot me.
You know, those days I want a believer behind me, and unless anything really serious ever happens in my life where I need to raise funds for something super important, I don't want to do that kind of shit, you know.
Which you already did that, Phil. Save the house. I can't pay my mortgage. I need y'all's help. Taxes. Oh my God, if I don't pay my taxes, I'll go to jail. Connecticut. Oh my God, I need to go see my dying parents. Oh, they're dying, guys. Comes back married. Oh, why did that happen? And also, the one that everyone seems to remember as well, the cat with the $2,000 tip goal, and all of a sudden people kept harping you for it, which you lost mods for and good amount of viewers for. And the fifth one, which is the bankruptcy. I'm dealing with a bankruptcy, guys. Give me money. The vest streak. Oh, I raised close to about $20,000, maybe $40,000, give or fucking take out of this. But yet, where did that money go? Not to his bankruptcy, but went straight to Scopely.
Been there, done that. Back in the days when I had bankruptcy and everything was awful. I'm not in that position anymore.
But yet you treat every day like you're in some sort of urgency, that you don't have a contingency plan, and it's up to the audience to band together and just kickstart Phil's career, just kickstart everything right back into gear. And what does he do? Very next day, where's my money? I need it now.
Want to go back to that position? I don't want to be doing these events like that. So that's not the point of tomorrow's event. We were doing the Super Bowl bash before any of this shit went down with the trolls regardless.
Yeah, and every single time you did these events, it was very boring due to the fact there were no sports games involved with it. But this year might be different, though, because Madden 24 is free.
Okay, so please come by tomorrow, hang out, have a good time. If you can support the stream, please do.
I love the fact that someone in his own chat is like, just stream Baldur's Gate 3 all week if you want tips. Apparently this commenter's right, because every single time that he needs money, he's playing Baldur's Gate 3. As soon as he stopped playing Baldur's Gate 3, he barely got any support. And he brought it back because he knows that people are stupid enough to give him money because of that ultimatum that he gave.
Fair enough? Thank you very much. Shout out to Avarice for a 4-month re-upping of their membership, saying, is it possible to decrease ads? What?
Oh yeah, the ads. That experiment that he wanted to just try out to see how it would work, and yet he never got rid of the ads. Instead, he just upped the ante of how many ads are pumping out on a stream.
Is it possible to decrease ads? Well, I could turn them off. I'm not doing anything with ads right now.
Yeah, you are. If someone said, hey, I just got an ad, what am I going to do with this? Can you turn them off or just reduce them? You immediately looked at the camera, looked back at your chat going, what the fuck are they talking about? I'm not running ads. I could turn them off, but the ads aren't bad. Give me ad money.
Right now, the ads are on, as always, but is there something wrong with the ads?
Yeah, you keep pushing more and more ads to pump out every single time that you stream, Phil. I thought this was an experiment. Why did you not pull the plug on it? Oh, right, I forgot. The trolls are ruining his business.
Yeah, you want to know the way to decrease ads? Get YouTube Premium.
Oh, great. Get YouTube Premium. Why, Phil? Tell us, why should they get YouTube Premium? And why is it that you're giving me that smug face of YouTube Premium? For the love of God, if you stop smugging, maybe I won't punch you in the face harder.
Then there's no ads. But then it still helps the streamer. Seriously. I don't know what you're saying. Are you saying that there's more ads? Maybe YouTube upped the ads?
No, Phil. YouTube didn't up the ads. You did.
Lucky Gremlin says the ads are fine. He's a troll.
Fuck off, OIC. Just fuck the fuck off. Weren't you going to get that HRT stuff, OIC, or is that just a bullshit myth?
Turn them to the lower version? I don't know how often they show. Normally, if I'm in the middle of something important and I see an ad pop up, I'll click. There's a thing that will pop up when an ad's going to play on my screen, and it'll say skip ad, so I'll click it. But I don't know if that's like, is it still there? I haven't been paying attention recently. Is that?
I haven't been paying attention recently because I've been swimming in all this ad money that apparently people are giving me.
That's still happening? How about that? You guys tell me when the next ad plays, okay?
How could they tell you? By the time the ad pops up, it'll just play the ad, and then you'll go right back to talking, skipping every single thing that you've said in between the ads.
Tell me when the next ad plays, and I'll take a look at this and try to figure it out.
Even though you could have figured this out, I don't know, way before you started streaming.
I told you guys when I turned ads on, I don't want them to be ultimately intrusive to my content.
Even though they're ultimately intrusive on your content, it doesn't fucking matter if it's on demand or on a stream.
But at the same time, having ads on the streams helps. You have to understand, especially right now, guys, I'm down like over $1,500.
Uh-huh, and that's their problem. How?
Because of fucking trolls. I need to be making what I can make, all right? But I don't try to go over the top of these ads. I don't want them to destroy the streams.
If they're not intrusive, and if they're not over the top, then why is it that they're complaining about the ads, Phil? It just proves that you're just upping the ante on the ads of how many can get pumped out in your stream.
So, let me know when they're playing again, and I'll take a look, because it used to be this pop-up used to appear in the corner of my screen, and it would say, you can delay this ad. But I don't know if that's still happening. Maybe they changed it again. I hate to say it, YouTube changes shit all the time and literally doesn't say anything about it.
Even though they probably would tell you about it, Phil, you just don't check your emails. Hey, Phil, why don't you invest in some actual prescription glasses? That way you don't have to lean forward and squint the eyes.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't appear like anything's changed in my menus or anything. Let me know, okay?
Yeah, I could just tell that he's immediately lying because his voice gets really higher. Like, you could just tell he's telling a lie. He's sounding like a valley girl.
Let me know when the next ad plays. I want to take a look at it. All right?
I want to take a look at it. Doesn't proceed to look at it.
Okay. Pizza Box Gaming did a $2 super chat. I have YouTube Premium. YouTube Premium is amazing. I keep telling you guys all the advantages of having YouTube Premium. I love it because, you know, as a YouTuber myself, when I do things on YouTube, I don't want to see ads constantly. Right? And I know for a fact that people get helped by it because I look at my stats every month. You know, you have your analytics, and it says everyone who's a YouTube Premium subscriber who watched my stuff, it significantly helps me. Like, significant amounts of help.
I love the fact how he's saying that there's a lot of advantages to YouTube Premium, but he's only talking about the amount of money that he's making off of people that have YouTube Premium watching his stuff. I mean, for God's sakes, Phil, I know that you're based around greed, but this is just too fucking much, man. I mean, if I poked you with a stick, it would just ooze with greed.
It's a significant chunk of help from people who do YouTube Premium. So if you like someone's content on YouTube, you're a premium subscriber, and you're just watching their content, they get paid.
Uh-huh, they get paid a little bit more. Like, we already know this, Phil. But again, the only reason why people know about it is because you won't shut the fuck up about it.
As if you're watching tons of ads, they get the credit for it.
Yeah, they get the credit for it. I get all the credit for it. Yeah, whoop they fucking do. You're only telling people about YouTube Premium how it benefits you, not benefits the people that are actually wanting to get YouTube Premium.
So helpful. And you don't ever have to watch an ad. You get to minimize videos and play them in the background on your device or on your computer as if it's like running like a music software. Like, I listen to music legit. I have a couple like channels that play video game music, and I'll play them in the background. Sometimes when I'm driving around, I sync with my car, and I have it play in my car when I'm going around doing my errands.
Hey, Phil, that's one thing. That's nothing to do with you. But now you're saying that, oh, hey, it has this option that you can just play videos. You don't have to have your phone on, and I can just sync it to my car. Yeah, you just actually sync it. Bluetooth, what is that? But again, though, Phil, you're just telling people about one thing, and that's it. Why aren't you going to tell people about how they could download videos and they don't have to worry about it? Oh, right. I forgot. You get money.
It's super fun and no ads. Like, YouTube Premium is legit good. If you're a frequent user of YouTube, 100% legitimately a good service.
You don't have to use it, but Phil's trying to shill it out for you, even though granted, he just admitted that everyone else shills for games or just shills for products, but yet he doesn't do that, and he's automatically shilling for YouTube. Even though this is coming from the guy that hates YouTube, but will shill premium.
And I don't praise YouTube that much. You guys know how critical I am of YouTube all the time. YouTube Premium is legitimately good.
Okay, then, so you hate YouTube but love premium. So that means you just like YouTube. That's the happy medium. You just like it. That's it.
Perimeter breach. Perimeter breach.
It doesn't really surprise me that Phil doesn't understand what sex appeal is and what sexual content is, or the difference between the two. Instead, he wants to keep going on and on and on about how if you enjoy the sexual content in the game, then you're just one of those losers that just lives in the parents' basement and never know a touch of a woman. Even though Phil is married and doesn't even know what a touch of a woman feels like. Instead, he has that building code violation to touch at night, supposedly. Yet, he wants to keep going on and on about how if you take away the sexual aspects, aka the main character of Stellar Blade, and just the romance options in Baldur's Gate 3, that the games aren't going to be any good, even though granted, doesn't matter if there's sexual content or sexual appeal in it or not, the games will still be fine, depending on the person's preferences. It's like, Phil, if you don't like romance, just flat out say you don't like romance in video games, because you want to live the illusion that you're in a happy marriage, when in reality, there are many other people out there that can have husbandos and waifus, and it can have a happier life. Continuing onward with that, the whole thing about the trolls ruining his life and how he lost $1,500. Phil, that's entirely on you, because you keep talking about it over and over and over, and it's clear as day that it gets under your skin. Hence, why they keep doing it. Why you get the Argentinian memberships coming into your chats and just spamming your entire fucking chat with the gifted membership messages. I mean, if you would have learned that, Phil, just learn to keep your mouth shut, maybe life would go well for you. But I am done with this, so I will end it off with a Phil prayer. Deliver us from the deads, deliver us from the paid pigs, deliver us from the pignosis. May we never become dented, may we never become a beggar like Darkside Phil, and just for the love of God, Karlach Master Race all the way, Assyrian Master Race all the way, don't at me, please. You can have your own takes with it, but I have mine. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a good rest of y'all's day, rest of y'all's night. Keep it really beautiful, people. And I'll see you in the next video.